Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to what do we have today? Skillshare. Welcome everyone to Skillshare today. So today we have Jonas, right? Okay, Jonas. So he's gonna talk about the branding strategies for heroes. But before that, I just want to tell you about the events that we're going to have today and also tomorrow, and also on Saturday, basically. So for today, after this, at 3 o'clock, we also gonna have the other uh, Balibungkus. So Balibungkus is kind of same with Skillshare as well, but Balibungkus is more like technical stuff. So for today, after this, we're gonna have Balibungkus at 3, and it's about PR 101. So if you want to know more about how this work, like PR, public relation, yeah. Sorry. Okay. I'm a bit nervous now. But yeah, feel free to join us at 3. And I'm so excited for this one. So tonight we're going to have fuck up nights. So what is fuck up nights? I don't know if you guys you already saw some poster right around this space. So fuck up night is the event where we invite 4 speakers who are going to talk about their failure and how they overcome the failure itself. Because of course, before we reach the top, there will be some failures that is happening, right? And it is, of course, it's fine for us to like to have a fuck up, and it's just a fun night. We call it a fun night because it is okay for us to have a fuck up because yeah. So please feel free to join us at Alaya Resort Jimbawan today. One of the speakers is right there, Emmanuel. Don't try to be busy.
Try to be busy.
The ticket is still available right now. If you want to join, I will recommend you to get it right now before you buy it at the door, because the last one we got fully booked at the day. So there's some people who cannot get in because they cannot get the tickets because it's already full. So please buy the ticket as soon as you can. If you feel like going in today, you can buy it at the front desk right now for 75K. And for tomorrow, we're gonna have a lunch at Hubud. So we invite you guys to have a lunch together at Hubud. So I'm gonna set up the place outside and then just have a lunch together. There will be some caterer who come to bring you the food, a nice food for you, and it's only cost 60,000. And yeah, feel free to join us tomorrow at 12:30 for the lunch. And on Saturday, we're also gonna have an excursion. So for this excursion, we're going to West Bali, and basically at that time, we're just gonna go to the West Bali and then see the village right there, how they can grow the rice paddies and also learn how to cook. So nice. The cost will be 670, but all the cost will go to the business, the local business, so it can help them grow their business as well. So feel free to join us for the excursion one, but please let me know by today at least, because we only have some limited spot for that one. So for right now, I'm gonna let Jonas do the presentation. Welcome, Jonas.
Mr. Cash. Thank you. I think we'll start the fuck ups already now. Is that okay? I have some few things I can share in that field. I'll be happy to share. Yeah. Okay, where do we begin? What do you want to talk about today?
Whatever you want.
Yeah?
Go.
Why was brand strategy as a topic interesting for you? Just a thought, or? Yeah, I think there are more useful things to do for this room.
I have lots of great ideas and don't know how to put them into action.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I think they're great. I don't know if they're great.
Okay. Great. Anyone else? Why was that topic interesting for you today? Why is it relevant today?
Well, I would like to build a brand myself, so it's good to get your experience and see how you did it.
Really, you can have a great idea or a great product, but it's the way people in the world see it and how they place value on it. That needs to be built almost as alongside the product.
Ah, yeah, interesting.
So,
Yeah.
I guess, how the world sees it. That's very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it determines a lot. Yeah, you might have a great product, but if someone had a bad cup of coffee just before, that will affect the image of the product and those things. Yeah. So we can be more careful of things. How many here knows about marketing? Yeah, I would guess most of you know a lot about marketing today. Like I would say in general, knowledge is not the problem today. Would you agree? Like getting access to knowledge, how to do things, it's not a problem. It's other things that are, the topic at hand that actually creates the results we want to do. So I call myself a mindfulness coach. It gives you a little bit of clue that I'm not just, into business, yeah? Although I talk about it, I'm a philosopher within business, you might say. So mindfulness just gives a clue. I have a different view on maybe things like success, happiness, or maybe fuck-ups. And so it'll be a little bit of philosophy around these things. So what I do today is I founded a conscious business community where we just try to do business, you might say in a completely different way than today's paradigm and the logic around it. And this contains like a leadership program for people that are already running conscious businesses. And it's conscious business camps. We get together for 5 days, rent a beautiful villa somewhere, and have time and relax into how do we actually want to build our business and what results are we actually longing for in life. And then I deal a lot with the inner stuff, those things that actually runs the show, our thoughts, emotions, and things. And it's something called turn work into yoga. So this is, in a way, how can business become something that is effortless? Anyone of you experience stress at some point while you do business or at work? You had to force things, push a little bit, yeah? Now this is kind of a standard norm today. Humanity seems to believe that I need stress in order to do things. Now, my grandfather didn't even know what stress is. So this is a very new phenomena within humanity. So this goes back to the ancient wisdoms of yoga and things and dives into how can we utilize that knowledge about the mind to make business something effortless, joyful, and maybe even deeply meaningful. Okay, meditation, that's the most important thing in my life. I'm happy to share it. And private coaching I do for businesses all around the world to do conscious business. I'm happy to support anyone who would do something great. Okay, we had about 1 hour, a little bit more, because Cash had so many lovely things happening here in Ubud. Isn't that an amazing place? Yeah, they do a lot of good things here. And they invited me as well. Happy for that, very grateful. Although I gave talks here before, and still they invite me. So they're not good, they're a little bit stupid also. Last time I gave a talk about stress, and not always the most comfortable talk, because we poke at some very tender parts of ourselves. Okay. Shall I go to the topic yet? No, I will not. I will play a little bit philosophy with you guys, because as I said, knowledge is not the big issue. Many of you know how to do marketing, sell stuff, and those things. Many of you probably know about brand strategy too, and it's more how we use it, how we use these amazing, skills that we share at a place like this, and that's what creates the results in my personal life and for humanity as a whole. And I call this conscious business. Why do I do it? Well, it's almost like business, but it's a word in front of it. It's called conscious. What does it mean to do a conscious business? Well, since we don't have so much time and you prefer to stay silent for now, I will say it's questioning stuff. To go one step deeper than, the common sense that appears in our mind, or the common knowledge around how to build a business. I was educated in fancy business schools in Europe, how to build brands, big businesses, how to make them grow. Through my fuck-ups in life, I came to a point when I had to question all of those. And I found none of those true. None of these things that I will tell you today is true in order to build a successful business and live a beautiful life. So that's not true. You can do it in so many lovely ways, and you're an absolutely unique being that can do it your way, and that's the perfect way. So just take away the seriousness around this thing with business. We have to do it. Business plan, I need a website. None of these things are true. You probably know it somewhere, but still we subscribe to it. And all of these thoughts can create stress, a lot of pressure. Let's see, so I don't scatter out. How many of you are the boss of your business? Oh, that's a lot of you. Okay. How many of you are boss of your own life? Okay. That's quite a lot. So since we have so many bosses that are in control of life and business here, I'm so curious. You're successful and clever, you know. How did you build that brain of yours? That nervous system, it just functions so beautifully. How did you do it? Or that immune system that's working in your body now. How do you do that? Mr. Boss, Mrs. Boss?
Well, if you'd like to know.
Your body is digesting food now. I'm so curious. How do you do that? While sitting here talking to me. That's fantastic. How do you beat your heart? That's important, yeah? For running a life. How many of you, oh, no. I want to know how you decide your next thought. Please, share, skill share. You're the boss, tell me.
Get it, we're not the boss.
Yes, I can go on. This is lovely, yeah. So it raised a good question now. Who is boss of your business? If you can't even decide about your next thought, you don't know how you produce it or it happens. Now these kind of questions opens up for consciousness to question everything. You know, most of those things that appear in my mind, they are fuck-ups. You're probably more lucky with those things, but you know, it comes a lot of things. And where do they come from? This common sense of yours, this knowing. That's a good question. And this is what we do, for example, at Conscious Business Camps. We go to the core of these things, you know, question the things. What day is it today, by the way? Is it? Huh?
Meaning that's the answer. It's today.
Today, Thursday? Yeah, we can agree on that, everyone in this room. But is it true?
It's a truth.
Yeah, well.
Google says it's Thursday, so
Yeah, Google says. So now we have a new definition. But if we actually question it, now this is just an example of, you know, how we subscribe to certain truth, and we just plan our whole life according to this calendar that we have. It's completely, you know, one of the biggest mental concepts we have, but that's all it is. It's a mental concept. It's a word, Thursday. Thursday doesn't exist in universe. It only exists as a thought in our mind. Now, if you think it's Thursday and you come from Europe or USA or something like that, it's a Roman tax calendar. It was convenient to divide the days, and then they can tell the farmers pay the tax on that day. You know, so that is what you plan your life according to a Roman tax calendar, most according. This is just an example of see what's run the show, and this common sense that we have in our mind is what runs your business, not you or whatever you think you are. Ah, deep stuff. So let's leave that, and you will see that we can talk about practicalities now, although we can question absolutely everything lovingly and have fun. But let me share the skill I'm here to share, and that's brand strategy, which is something I lived with for many years, and I still can find these things quite valuable. Why brand strategy? What can this perspective help us with in our business? Well, I would say that brand strategy, this perspective that I'm going to talk about today, can increase the likability. You know, we like stuff. We love things, you know, and it can increase that. Like you said, a product, but what do people actually think about it? Like brand strategy, this perspective can make more people like. If you have something really good to share, you thought about things before, you question everything, and now this is what I want to, you know, give to humanity. This is what my life is about, this lifetime. Okay, then it's nice if other people like it. It will increase the value for humanity. Good. What happens when someone likes something? Well, they tend to refer it to other people, yeah? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, just so I know you're alive. Just nod or something, yeah. Thank you. And then, of course, those things naturally, organically increases sales. Because, yeah, more referrals, people like it more. And then usually profit goes up also. And profit is usually something that, you know, if people like it more, there's more loyalty to something, then the price can be a bit higher. People value it more. So this is very logic, yeah? Increase loyalty. And then, of course, it can. If you have something good that is sustainable for humanity and good, then it creates more value for humanity and more value to the company. Okay, so that was a little bit about the why. This is what I would today say brand strategy is about, and it's exactly what this gentleman said. You know, here we have the identity. Maybe I'm a coach, then it's me. My story, my skills, and my perspectives on things. You know, and this is the image. That is what other people actually perceive. Now, what was the first thought you thought when you saw me? Yeah, okay. Anything else?
I thought he's probably from Sweden, or somewhere nearby.
Mm-hmm. Swedish, yeah. He's matching his picture. Yeah, anything else?
That's your shining.
I'm shining. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we see, you know, inside your minds, there's a whole world happening. We just talked about this, Stephanie, before. You have a world going on there, which is completely different from your world and my world. So this becomes a little tricky thing when we want people to perceive the same thing. They want me, you know, I think I'm wise and I'm clever and I can help people, you know, maybe that's what I want people to think. But no, they obsess about my hair or my picture or, you know, you're absolutely out of control out there. Yeah. So this little journey might be the perspective of brand strategy. How to, this is what I think I want to offer, how I want people to perceive it. This is how I perceive myself maybe. And then what happens in between, the communication, you know? How does it end up? Which compartment in the brain does it end up in most people? We'll just look a little bit into these separate things. Yes, you might say that there's a core identical system where you have your like the product, your values, your story behind it, the why you even do it, and those things. The strategy and your vision, where you want to go with this, what you want to achieve. And then you have the identical system, and that is all the things that represents these values and visions and strategies. And we call them usually marketing or products or services. You know, they are the concrete things, the manifestation of our ideas, our visions and things. And at some point, there's a soul formulating itself. And I say that because it's very difficult to create a soul in a brand. You just, it's like a personality. It's my soul brother or soul sister. And you notice why, yeah? It's, you're out of control. So, but after some time, there can be a soul in a brand as well. And to learn what a brand actually is about, okay, then we go back and now we do a little exercise. So, Stephanie?
I'm not gonna dance.
No, okay, she's not gonna dance, but she's gonna play my assistant today and hand out some paper. So there's a folded part on top, so don't open it for your neighbor, or we can say like this, just don't look at someone else's paper, and then we solve that problem. So while we receive it, what I want to just introduce it is that there will be a brand underneath the little folded patch. And then there are some questions underneath. And we will take a couple of minutes just to see what appears when we look at this brand. Like similar to what we did now when you looked at me and you got some associations. But we will look more on these brands in types of personality. So do everyone has a pen? Someone don't have a pen is a better question. Okay, so anyone has some extra pen? We have 4 or 5 pens. Or
On my phone. Can we type it on our phone?
yeah, you can. Yeah. In the corner, yeah. Okay, so first will be first thought. So just glance at the brand and then you can fold it again and then just, like a child bursts out whatever they think, you know? A child doesn't think, oh, this isn't clever, this is not a good analysis of this brand. Fuck that. Just write the first thing that comes, you know? Oh, it has a big nose. That kind of thing that children do. No, you do it for yourself. So the other person around should not see which brand you have. So that's why you just fold it back. And so don't think about it. Just write the first associations. And then there will be describing the brand as it would be a person. So the following question after the first spontaneous response is, so is it a man, woman? How does he or she look like? The age? And describe this personality and so on with a few words. So you can just make some bullet points, but make sure you see this person in front of you. That's the most important. And then make a few bullet points on your paper. And you don't have to be nice to this person or anything, just describe whatever comes up. You can generalize wildly, come up with details.
Just on the last one, I'm not quite sure.
Yes, if you reach the last one, it says friends about this person. So if you see this person, what would his or her friends say about him or her?
Right.
So what would his or her friends say about this person? How would they describe? And you know, friends, if I ask them, they will also tell the problems that this person have, you know, the flaws and characters. That's what friends are for, yeah, to point out the the bad sides with love, of course, and understanding and acceptance and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Are we sort of finishing off the little notes? Okay. So, would you like to be assistant as well? A volunteer, yeah? And come up here on stage with me, yeah? And bring your paper, but don't show it, yeah? My dear, would you like to be a star of the show as well? No? Okay. A gentleman, would you like to?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah? So if you can come up and maybe stand here. I'm looking for a, would you like to be a volunteer?
I can.
Oh, thank you. Yes, this is co-creating. Okay, so what's your name?
Shabazz.
Shivaz.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Freya.
Freya
Freya.
and
Esther.
Esther. Okay, Esther, Freya, and Shivaz. So they will now read what they wrote and do other things, and we just listen. Would you like to start?
Yeah.
And we don't say the brand or maybe the product itself, but the personality is what we're looking for, yeah?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So,
Just be clear about that.
so
The first thought.
First thoughts were, it's a brand I recognize, and I've kind of fallen in love with it since my childhood. So that was just my first thoughts. And should I move on to the
personality?
I thought it's a man, looks simple yet powerful, single, address is Germany, and housing is big and modern.
Oh, I know.
Personality is dynamic. Work is high-paying city job, and friends love him, and they kind of they're like him as well.
They're like him, yeah.
Yeah.
Do the friends see any problem with this guy? If I would ask them privately?
I think they would kind of think he's an asshole at times.
Okay, you feel this person? Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Let's do. Maybe Esther, would you like to read your?
Yeah, my first thoughts were I know this brand and I don't like it very much. If the brand would be a person, I think it would be a woman, sexy, curvy, present, age 25, I guess single, address somewhere in Japan, housing no idea, personality just okay in everything, trustworthy, takes no risks, work within a company, and friends would say she's always there, fun to be around.
Okay, so housing, but if you close your eyes, how does this woman live? Like, is it a fancy apartment somewhere? Is it a suburb, a little villa, or is it an apartment in a suburb? Or?
I think she shares a flat with 2 roommates.
Okay. So we know this person by now, yeah? Thank you, very good description. And Freya, would you like to?
It's not so dissimilar to our first one. Okay, my first thoughts are fast, red, and expensive.
Yes.
The person will be a man with dark hair, but probably slicked back. About 35 years old, single. Probably live in Rome some of the time. Maybe Monaco. And would live in a swanky apartment. He is arrogant and flashy. Probably a banker. His friends would say he's fun, maybe a bit brash and impractical.
Okay, good. So now take a look again at your brand if you don't remember it, and just see which person would you resonate with, go to, which would you pair up with, and then just get up and stand next to either him, her, or her.
Based on the brand we have.
Yes, yes, match the
Who
brand.
do we think has our brand?
Yes.
Okay, you have the brand, I already know.
Oh, stand up, stand next to her.
That's the one that we had.
Yes, the one you have.
It's going to be crowded.
Should we move to different parts?
I think it would be more fun if we just cram up here.
We'll go with Esther.
And then you can compare if it was correct, if you matched everything. Some here waiting for. Where are you here? Where do you? You're not sure? Where do you want to go? There? Okay.
Yeah.
Hardworking, but a bit boring. Yeah.
Okay.
It
It was the same here?
Yeah.
Okay, there was one who had a little different here.
I think one, two.
Yeah. And how was it over here? Was it all Ferraris? Okay.
Oh, I thought it would be Alfa Romeo.
Okay, then we can sit down again.
Oh, I didn't even put the age.
Okay, we can go and sit down again. We can chat more afterwards. Find your place. They limit my time today, that's why I have to cut it short. But it's a lot of fun talking about these associations and see, and yeah. And at one point there was a man coming up here when we did this little exercise, and he just misunderstood everything, and he talked about himself. And he was just, couldn't understand it. He had Ferrari, and he talked about this humble, shy person. I just, what? I was very curious how that would end up. Yeah. But when a brand exists for a long time, they become personal. Yeah, and this is a lot. What we buy. We don't buy so much the product. We buy the image. We relate to a person, this soul that is created. If it's innovation and things, then might be products, but after some time, there's a personality, and that's what this shows. This is how, when I used to do like market research for corporations and things, this is how you measure a brand. And I think by now you understand, or you probably already know, that the brand has very little to do with a logo. Yeah, so a logo is a symbol, but what you associate with it and how you feel, that's the brand. So brand awareness is what you start measuring, and this gives us a clue, you know, how the strength is for a brand within our mind. You start by maybe, have you heard about top of mind, maybe that term? So the question goes like this, you know, cars, which is the first car you think of? That car is top of mind, yeah? So if it's top of mind for many people, if we do it for 1,000 persons, then we understand that the brand is top of mind. It's a strong brand within this country or whatever. And then we can, you know, see, okay, which other cars do you think about? And then you say maybe, oh, also Toyota, and then that ends up also. And if you ask many people, then you see, oh, they are also quite high. And then maybe if it was Honda who did the market research, then say, do you also know about Honda? Yeah, I know about them. Or they say, no, what is that, you know? So it's like you divide it into different levels of how well known they are, the brand awareness. Now here, we start to move down the pyramid. Now the body gets fatter, like it has more strength to it. Because this, even if you know it, it doesn't mean that you like it, yeah? So we are very high up in the pyramid, there's small things. So here comes the types of associations, like the attributes you have associated with it. Like, is it product related? Is it non-product related? Is it exclusive? How's the price? Is it the packaging that you actually associate with? Or is it the image of the user or the usage? Now we played a little bit with the image of a user, and that's, you know, quite far down in this pyramid. It's quite fat. The image of the user means a lot for us, and that's a lot of reasons why we relate to something and how it's used. And I'll do some examples later. And then we can see also, you know, that you can somehow measure it. You can't measure it, but you can try, and that is like the attitudes. And like we noticed here, there was it Esther? She didn't seem to like this brand, you know? Now that is an attitude, so it affects, you know, a lot of her associations to that brand, doesn't it? So if we do research, it's not good to know that, you know, because maybe it's not something wrong with the with the product or something. It's just that, no, she has an attitude towards, for example, we have against cars. Oh, they are polluting and those things, then maybe we don't like any car. It's good to know. And then it's the personality also. Maybe we are, you know, a certain character. We like it slow and calm, and then Ferrari is loud and fast. It doesn't suit me. So it gives another dimension to these things. But what it boils down to, all these associations, is emotions. Yeah, how we feel. And that's when we take a decision of some kind. So emotions run the world, regardless of how rational we believe we ourselves are. But you know, if you have an intelligent intellect, we can quite easily, you know, rationalize things forever. When do you know that you're taking every aspect into consideration when you take a decision? Have you ever come to that point? You can always question that, said you need more information, you know. So the rational process is a very slow and not very, according to science, also not very relevant, because our intuition guides us better than the research. So emotions is what is a big body here down below, and that's where these associations end up. Okay, so I was thinking maybe sharing a little bit about successful brand strategy, but maybe share a little fuck up first, so we understand how brand strategy can have an aspect to do with a business likability. So one of the first assignments I had as a brand strategist when I started to work with that was a big clothing chain in Sweden. And they ended up in a crisis. They had like stores all over Sweden, and their identity, they aimed and they thought they were 17 to 23-year-old, you know, quite fashionable guy or woman. That was the age. But they ended up after like 15 years in business to attract 13 to 17-year-old kids. And they don't buy as much clothes. So they started out somewhere there, and then they went down in age over the years. And that meant that they had far too many stores and too big warehouses and too big production, you know. So they saw it as a problem, and then I did the analysis for these things and made a suggestion on how to get out of this little thingy. So it was just obvious the way that they have used models in their advertising and the age, because what they didn't maybe take into consideration is that if we're quite young, we tend to look a little bit above, you know. We look up to our big brother or the sister or those who are a little bit older. And then it passes a line where it's the opposite. We feel maybe a little bit old, so we oh, that's an attractive young man or woman, you know. So then we look down in age. So they just had a little bit too young models, maybe the same age that they were aiming for, and they would have a little bit older. And then I found out, you know, we did research, what is the associations that, what influences this group when it comes to choice of clothing and those things. And we found that, for example, like TV series had a big influence in the trends when it comes to clothing in Sweden and in Europe in general. And at that time it was, for example, series like Friends and Sex in the City that created a lot of trends and those things. So a lot of American-based things. So yeah, and then they ended up doing a lot of commercials shot in New York and those things, and started to regain some things. But just to see how it can easily happen, you know, that associations drift away because you're uncontrollable, yeah. But what is a successful brand strategy? And I will give an example, and I just do this because I come from this city and I came from there, and we started out with cars because they're well known. It's not that I support the car industry or any specific brand, it's just examples. And we need strong brands to make it clear, the examples. So a successful brand strategy is to find a thingy. Yes, that's why people who work with marketing have to be creative. We need to find the thingy. Do you understand what I say, or mean when I say that? The thing, the hook on which we can place our associations and our feelings and emotions. I will use the example of a car brand called Volvo that is from a country, Sweden, and they've been very good at brand building. They're probably good at building cars too, but the brand building is quite phenomenal because it's a very small brand. You know, Sweden is a tiny little country. We're like 10 million people, and still so many people know about Volvo, and it's in so many countries, and it's very liked. So they found a thingy very early on. Do we have a guess what the thing is for Volvo?
Safety.
Safety, yes. This is like 100% in a room. Yeah, not everyone, of course, we might not, you know, relate to car, but safety is the thing with cars, and that's how it started out with Volvo. They were probably family men and women who started out, and they thought it was important to protect people. But they've been very good at communicating this. I'll just, I have to move to a web browser, and I'll just show you like example. Oh, sorry. I have to switch it. So how do I do that? I have to do this. No?
I think you just pull it over on the other screen. Right. Yeah, pull it to the right. Yes.
Okay.
And now you can unbar it.
But now it disappeared from my screen. How do I do this?
Drag it for a bit.
Anyone seen this?
Now you change the screen setting.
Okay, if anyone knows, just come here and help me out, and we will save at least 1 minute.
No, now just click on the behind.
I will
On
just
your
click on
screen,
this,
just
yeah.
click on
Yeah.
the
Because now we're
browser
going to see
behind.
it.
Okay.
And now you just click on the sign there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we there?
Yes.
Also here? Okay.
The Volvo 340, tested by dummies, driven by the intent. Followed by a new 6-cylinder, 24-valve engine, richly upholstered in leather and uniquely styled. But what's most distinctive about this new touring saloon is it's also a Volvo. Introducing the Volvo 960. It's
Okay. And now, what do I do?
Just click on.
Okay. Yes, so you get the point. Like there were very few car producers that crashed their cars in their commercials. It was a thing that they planted early on. And I'll try to do the same concept again with the help of you guys. Well, we can see. Okay, so
Stay alive.
Score is good.
hmm?
Where's the last one?
Okay. So you see, they have such legitimacy when it comes to safety that they can play around with the topic quite well. You know, kill a couple of old guys in a commercial. Then you have some foundation in your brand. You have plenty of legitimacy if you can play around with these things and make fun things out of it. So this is one of the benefits with having one thingy. You can play with it and you can create more associations. Like Volvo hasn't always been good being associated with safety. After some time it became boring. And they ended up in a bit of a crisis, because what safety sounded boring. And that might be true. So they had to do things. And then they bought the Volvo Ocean Race. There was some action. They went into sports and those kind of things. But they were quite aware about things. And today, Volvo is a sexy car. And it has great performance and all these things. Of course, they built the product differently also to have performance and outrun BMW and those kind of things. But yeah. Since they are not, associated with performance, they had to be a little bit better all the time at those things. And now we will also go into the deeper part of the pyramid, because that might be an attribute that is quite high up. It's like product related, and product related things is not so strong. It's not so far down in the pyramids as we saw. So when a brand becomes strong, it's because they work quite strategically with the user, like projecting the user, and maybe it can be yourself if you are using your service, for example, or in this case the car. It's done through advertising and things. And Volvo has always had more people in their advertising. It's like family. Even their sports car, they had to have 2 people, and they work a lot with this. The user of a Volvo is a family. It's more people in a car. And if we look at a different, one of the examples I had, just to have a very contrast, is BMW. Who is the user of a BMW? It's like one man, yeah? And it's been like this for all their time. There's always one man and you hardly see him, but you know what character he is, yeah? So way back in time they started. So this is the way to be more specific and relate to that person that, you actually want to talk to. And now I'll give another example. Just see what time we have. 15. Okay, yeah. Great. And I would like my assistant to come and assist me again. And there's another movie. And this is a 3-minute commercial from Volvo, the most recent. And I just want to see how they play with the user. Would you like help me get this lovely thing going? I don't even find my mouse. Nice.
Yeah, just click on that symbol.
I remember
Yeah.
you were 10 years old and I drove you to summer camp. It was just the two of us. When I was dropping you off, you had this smile, this same smile I see today. I drove for about 2 minutes and I had to pull over. I was crying so much that I couldn't see the road. And I thought to myself, you're in for it now. The reason I'm telling you this is that there will be moments in your life that you'll never be ready for. You will just not be ready for. Your little girl getting married being one of them. And I'm still not ready. I guess this is where I'm supposed to give you advice on marriage. In the beginning, when you're first starting out, everything's exciting. Your potential is unlimited, exploding with possibilities, simply because the person sitting beside you right now. And you found a guy like Jacob, good man. It won't always be easy. There will be days. You'll make mistakes. Sometimes love won't be enough. You'll have to make the decision to not give up on each other. That won't always be your first instinct. But I promise you, it will be worth it. I love you, sweetheart. That was a great speech, Mr. B. Thanks, Tony.
Okay. So you guys who worked with marketing and maybe recorded advertising and those things, it costs a lot to do marketing and advertising like this. And now?
Just close it.
Okay. So how much was about the product in this 3 minutes? It's expensive time to buy even on the internet, to put this amount of energy and write a script about the product. How much was about the product?
A few seconds towards the end.
Yeah, you could see the product. What were the story about, It was about the humans. And they showed where they lived and how they reflected. You could feel things when you watch this, yeah? So they come far. They can play with these things. They can really, see that, yeah, we love our customer. This is how they are. And they can show this. And they can spend so much time not even explaining that this is the safest car in the world or any of the things that, all their engineers has been working on. They don't give. No, we just focus on the user. So this just shows that they don't know what is actually, interesting for people or they are on the lower part of the pyramid, the fat part. So this is just to show some examples how it can go. Okay, I think we'll skip this one. And I'll talk just a little bit about market communication, which most people know a lot about today, but just to give a perspective on this, when we lift our perspective and think brand strategy. Brand strategy for me is like lifting the perspective. Like when I work with brand strategies, you're always on like managing level. This is not marketing trying to sell stuff, it's the whole thing. What are we trying to create in the world? How are we trying to shift the human consciousness, or what are the value, what are we trying to create? And then we come down to details like market communication, the actual communication. And this is the function of market communication when it comes to brand building. And the first, before you actually take part of the service or the product, is to frame, the experience. Frame the product, frame the brand. So those are the associations that I would like to plant in you, the thingy. Now, and let's imagine that someone here is having a thingy and someone here is not having a thingy. And then we move on to the next, when you actually try the product or you have the service. Now, if we have planted or been clear about our thingy, that will affect our mind when we actually try the product or the service, yeah? So then it's a little bit bigger chance that you uncontrollable people will have a little bit of associations according to that. Imagine if I didn't have any associations planted, well then it will be like this fuck up today, May. You will have a lot of different thoughts about me, yeah? So there's no hook to hang my associations. It will be up to your state of mind and your attitudes completely. And that's fine, of course, but not if we want to have a high perspective. We want to build a brand, not just do marketing and sell stuff, yeah? And then it's afterwards, and then the marketing can help to categorize the minions' memory and strengthen the associations we want to do, so we strengthen it. But if you haven't planted a thing in the first place, and then you have tried it, and you have your own associations, and then we do marketing that is against your associations, it's a little bit of a mess. Then we just have many things, but nowhere to place it. So this is why so many within marketing and things, you always try to be very specific, and they usually try to force us to say no to many things and just choose this for now, and this is why. Because there's a chance for other people to relate to you, to start, have a personal relationship, which is the case with also products and services. We get a personal relationship to them. I had an example of a friend, he just faced his own fears of changing from iPhone to some other kind of brand. Wow, it was a big crisis for him. But he was determined, I'm going to free myself from this loyalty to some kind of brand, He had to take a therapist and everything. And finally, he able to buy another phone as well. So like how we work with this, with my clients or with at the Conscious Business Camp and things, for example, I just talk about the difference between information and communication. Just because this is usually, since many of you are rolling your own business, yeah? And this is where we usually end up. We end up creating information. Because we know a lot of things about our product and service, yeah? So it's very easy for us to end up creating information. And don't get me wrong, information has to be there, of course. We have to inform what it is. But it's very difficult for us to create communication. Those things that plants the thingy, that builds emotions in people's body, that build user. It's not equally easy because we're so much into the rational part of why this is so good for people. So we don't build the brand. We just have arguments and then sell stuff, So yeah, we inspire at the end of camp. We do communication for each other because it's so much more easy to do for someone else. Have you noticed? When someone else talks about it, we know, it's because you have no fear of failure when there's someone else. And that's where the state of mind, creativity just comes. And the thingy, it doesn't have to be relevant like in Volvo's case. In many other cases, it can be completely irrelevant. But it's the right amount of associations. Let's take an example. One of the businesses I ran myself, it was within the airport industry. And this is very slow, dull, you might say boring. Anyone from the airport Okay. But our product or service, in our brand strategy, we understood that exclusivity and prestige is very important for people to even consider this kind of product for big projects like airports. That's the character. They are, suit men, and they have an entourage of people after them. This is the CEO of an airport. They are the CEO, like a mayor of a city. It's like millions of people working there. So how you meet those people is at fairs. That's where they come for conferences and things like that. So we did those kind of things. And to create this exclusivity around the brand, I created, what's it called? The stands or the spot you have at a fair?
Stand.
Yes, so English is not my native. A stand, yeah? So we were the only stand that no one could enter. So we used this concept of A Star is Born, the theme was called. So we had this, like, do you know the nightclubs or the red carpet where the stars come and the paparazzis? We had the red carpet, nice floor, and these, hooks, you come in or you don't come in, And we let no one in. And at one point, I even built like a rock and roll stage, a huge stage with these drapes that was covered. So no one could see what was inside. And there was just a little music going on. They knew something was, it's our latest product in there. Yeah. Where are you from? And if they were important enough, then, okay, tomorrow we have a little thingy here with champagne, and there's a TV channel coming and things. I would love for you to come. With this little thingy, just not allowing anyone to see it, we got all the CEOs, that was important, coming to our place where we had a chance to present everything. No one had succeeded with this before. So this is a way how you, if you know what kind of associations you want, you can play with it, and you can create amazing things. So that is communication. It had nothing to do with the product, that we had a huge stage, for example. Do you understand what I'm talking about when I say information and communication? And that's why it's very easy, usually, to create successes within fields if you just have a little bit of communication. Okay, I assume you know a lot about marketing, so we don't have to talk about things. And this is just a process that I do. I just wanted to share that. It's a funnel where we start to look at things, but the brand or myself is the most important thing. Because of this reason, where we started out today, what is actually creating results in our life? Who's running life? Who's running my business? And if I would ask you after this little workshop, maybe you're wise enough to say, I don't know. Who is running this show? Where does my inspiration and ideas come from? My inspiration to take action, to create something. Most of us have never spent time meditating on this and reflecting on these things. So this is what we actually do and spend time with that. What is this, if you are unique, maybe there is a purpose of you existing in this lifetime. And see if we can find that unique gift of yours so that you can roll a business in a way that suits you and gives a great value to humanity. I just assume that everyone has an important purpose for this universe since you exist. Now this is a completely different perspective than the normal approach within business and school or society as a whole. School, that's like 16 years of teaching that we should compare each other. So that's conditioned in our mind. That's how we look on things, even though we think, oh no, I'm not like that. I think I'm unique. No, usually we don't. So this is the most important thing, because if you're the boss of your business, you're the one that will employ other people, you will attract other people, your ideas is the things that will develop and manifest into marketing or whatever. Where does those things come from? And then we can find a way to do or roll a business where we don't create any kind of stress, no pressure whatsoever, no fear of not making money, and it can grow organically, like everything else in nature grows. This is a new concept. Growth is usually, at least how it was back when I was brand strategist, is something we have to create, force. Yeah? That was my job as a brand strategist. Here's the great vision, here's the strategy, and then my job was to force the rest of the universe into that little image I had of things. It takes a lot of energy. And I burned out quite young. Before I was 30, I was part owner in 3 businesses. I had my own brand strategy firm, and then I burned out. So I, personally, I had to find a way to do it differently. You guys are different. You are heroes.
Already?
Yeah, that's why I call it brand strategy for heroes. Because you're here in Bali. Now that tells me something very important about you guys, because you're not from Bali, are you? And most likely it's not your parents that told you to come here. Am I right? So, and not society either, I guess. So there has to be some point in your life where you start to question, and, you know, the common way, the common sense on how to live a life on planet Earth. And it is people like you guys in this room that will, you know, change things. If it's unsustainable today, it will be different because you dare to question things and do things differently. So those are the guys I would like to support, those who dare to question everything and break patterns, because, yeah, I don't know if you know, but humanity today, we're in a pattern that is not sustainable. Do you believe in that?
Yeah.
Like we are using resources equivalent to 1.6 planet Earth today. This year, last year, 2017, that was the statistics. So it's just the way we live. It's not sustainable. And if we see the statistics of burnouts and mental disorders and depressions, it's the biggest and fastest growing trend in humanity, stress. When I started to give talks about stress 2014 in Europe, there was 40 million people that had burned out in Europe. 40 million. I come from Sweden with 10 million. So it's 4 of my countries that burned out just in a few decades. Because I said, my grandparents, they didn't know what stress was. So this is, if it would be, you know, a virus, all the borders in Europe would close, you know. We have to find the cause of this. But today, we just think that, you know, we need stress to perform. Schools today, children burn out today. So this is, you know, with a stressed human mind, we can't be conscious. Because if there's a little stress in our system, we just go to the familiar things, the things we've already done. So I just want to give you that before I finish up, that those inner things that we, you know, they are much more important than we think for the end result of any kind of business that we do. So I would like you to inspire you to spend more time with the brand, and maybe not so much on the market and analysis on those things. Oh, there's something that wants to happen through you. Listen inside and question all those thoughts that come up and create stress in you. And then it will be beautiful. Yes, but if you find the thingy, the little thingy at the end of this funnel model, then you will see things also become more easy when it comes to practicalities like marketing. If you have one thing, then you just place it on many things, and you know that you do your best to build a brand, to create associations that has a higher purpose, not just to sell stuff, that you do communication. So that's why we do a brand strategy. Yes?
Could you maybe, once slide before you, could you maybe tell a bit more about the eye of the needle?
Oh, yes. That's the thingy.
That is the thingy.
Yes. It's the smallest unit, communicational unit that passes through the eye of the needle. So that is what makes it simple when you find this thingy, because we have so much, you know, we have our story, our vision, our strategy, our products, everything, you know. We have the market, we have, you know, our dream customer and so things, you know. But then to find one little thing that represents all of that, plus, you know, speaks to the heart of our dream customer, so we don't have to sell anything. They just say, oh, this is my kind of coach, or that is my kind of product. That's the thing, the thingy. That's the eye of the needle in this. It just has to pass through a very narrow thing. So usually we have to, you know, be a bit disciplined. No, this is too much information, you know. Thank you for asking. Yes, I think that was it. Thank you. I can make a little